Okay, so picture this for a second. You're sitting in a vast, silent stone cave. The air around you feels like a held breath, just completely still. Right in front of you, there's a single column of blue fire, burning without a single flicker. Across from you sits Zoran, an ancient dragon, and you are Fletcher, his dedicated student. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack the ultimate secrets of focus through this really incredible narrative. Today, we're looking at the bridge between merely gathering your focus and achieving true, full-system neural integration. You see, Fletcher's figured out how to summon his attention, but like so many of us, he just can't hold it. It slips, it wanders, it completely dissolves. So how do we actually get it to stay?
Right off the bat, Zoran the Dragon delivers a lesson that completely shatters our standard preconceptions about what it actually means to concentrate. He tells Fletcher, flow is not magic. Flow is frictionless attention. I mean, think about it. We've been taught our whole lives that focus is this intense battle, right? Like a gripping of the mind where you literally force yourself to stare at a screen or a textbook. But Zoran teaches that the mind is actually a lot like water. It naturally flows wherever the terrain allows. So if you're struggling to pay attention, you aren't lacking willpower. You're just dealing with way too much friction.
Okay, let's dive into this because this is huge. We've kind of been conditioned to think that flow is this rare, almost mystical state that only happens to, extreme athletes or brilliant artists by some lucky accident. But in reality, flow is regulated, it's frictionless, and it's entirely natural. It's simply the baseline biological state of a regulated nervous system. When your body is calm, your breath is steady, and your mind is gathered, getting into flow isn't an accident at all. It's actually the inevitable result.
Section 1. The myth of forced focus and shifting from strain to ease. Listen, we really have to unlearn this habit of just trying harder. When you grip your attention tightly, you're actually creating the exact resistance that shatters your focus in the first place. To understand why forcing it never works, we need to anchor Zoran's mystical cave metaphor in some hard neurobiology. Meet your DMN, the default mode network. This is the part of your brain that runs that constant internal narrator. You know the one. It's the voice worrying about what you're going to have for lunch or endlessly replaying that awkward conversation from yesterday. For your attention to become stable and frictionless, this self-referential noise absolutely has to quiet down. And here's the kicker. You cannot force the DMN to shut up by internally yelling at it. You can only quiet it by changing the physical terrain of your nervous system.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 3 conditions of flow and aligning the mind.
In the story, Zoran casually raises one claw, and 3 glowing symbols suddenly appear in the air of the cave. Translated into our biological reality, these are the core conditions you need to make your mind truly frictionless. 1. Reduced internal noise, meaning that pesky DMN finally steps aside. 2. Increased neural efficiency, where your brain literally stops burning energy on perceived threats. And 3. Stable attention anchoring, where your mind just naturally stays with the task without you wrestling it into submission. The beautiful paradox here is that you don't achieve these through forceful intensity. You achieve them through a profound lack of resistance.
Let's look at condition 1, quieting the internal noise.
For your attention to become genuinely stable, your mind must first become quiet enough to actually hear itself. Zoran gives Fletcher a highly practical tool to achieve this, called the quieting protocol. Try this with me. You start with a slow exhale, making it twice as long as your inhale. Then, gently expand your peripheral vision. Seriously, stop staring a hole into your monitor for a second. Relax your jaw, drop your shoulders away from your ears, and simply feel your body soften. When Fletcher tried this in the cave, his whole face changed instantly. He looked at the dragon and said, "It feels like the world got quieter." And Zoran replied, "It did, inside you."
Moving on to condition 2, increased neural efficiency.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens next. Once the internal noise drops, an amazing biological shift takes place. Your regulated nervous system stops wasting all that precious mental energy scanning for threats and redirects it entirely to the task in front of you. When you quiet the sympathetic nervous system, that's your fight or flight mode, boom, you get faster processing speed. When you activate the vagus nerve, you unlock deeper focus. Coherent, steady breathing directly leads to better memory retention. And simply aligning your posture, that promotes real emotional stability. These physical triggers directly create the cognitive superpowers of flow. This leads Fletcher to a massive, game-changing realization. Flow isn't just a mood or some vague feeling of being in the zone. Flow is a metabolic state. It is literally your brain running on ultra-clean fuel, instead of burning dirty energy on stress, distraction, and bodily tension.
When your system is highly efficient like that, incredible focus takes almost zero effort.
Condition 3. Stable anchoring.
Zoran uses a really brilliant metaphor here. He says attention is like a flame that naturally flickers and dances wildly when the air around it is unstable. To stabilize the air around your mental flame, you follow the anchoring protocol. Choose just one task. Set a crystal clear intention for what you're doing. Ruthlessly remove all distractions from your environment. Begin the work slowly. Seriously, don't rush into it. And step 5 is where the magic happens. Let your attention settle naturally. You don't force the flame to be still, you just protect it from the wind and it settles entirely on its own.
So let's get into the 4 flow state practices, your tools for effortless attention.
Now that we understand the deep mechanics behind frictionless attention, Zoran unfurls his wing to reveal 4 practical, everyday tools to actually maintain this state in the messy real world. First, the soft focus technique. Instead of staring intensely, focus gently and let your attention simply rest on the subject. Second, the 20-minute flow block. Pick one single task and do absolutely zero context switching for 20 minutes to train your sustained attention muscle. Third, the friction audit. Pause, ask yourself what is creating physical or mental resistance right now and get rid of it. And finally, and this is my absolute favorite, the identity drop.
So, the crucial point is this. Before you begin a task, take a deep breath and say to yourself, for the next 20 minutes, I do not need to be anyone. Think about how much energy we waste maintaining our ego, right? Worrying about a reputation or stressing over the past and the future. By consciously dropping your identity for a short block of time, you effectively shut down the distracting narrator of the default mode network. You just get to exist.
Because flow is exactly what happens when the self stops interfering. Zoran gives Fletcher a profound final warning in the cave. He tells him that this advanced phase of focus is not about trying harder. Actually, scratch that. It's about trying less. Fletcher realizes he has to get out of his own way, and the dragon completely agrees, noting that getting out of your own way is perhaps the hardest thing a human can possibly do, but it is entirely, absolutely essential for flow.
Finally, Section 3, the 3-day flow experiment and bridging to integration.
Okay, we've spent time in the cave with Zoran, but now it's time to bring these teachings out into the daylight. Here are the exact parameters for your own 3-day experiment. I challenge you to try this. For the next 3 days, commit to just one 20-minute flow block per day. During that block, use soft focus. Before you start, run a quick friction audit and remove anything in your way. And finally, practice that identity drop. Tell yourself you don't need to be anyone for those 20 minutes. Just be the task. This simple experiment will give you your very first real taste of full system neural integration.
I want to leave you with this final, lingering question straight from the dragon's teachings. Write it down if you need to. Reflect on it after your experiment. What does attention feel like when it stops fighting itself? When you finally stop gripping, stop forcing things, and just let your nervous system do what it was naturally designed to do, the results are literally breathtaking. I really hope this explainer helps you find your own frictionless blue flame. Give the 3-day experiment a try and let your attention flow.